Thank you, everyone. Today I'll be speaking about active citizenry for democratic renewal. So in a few days' time, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation and a few other organizations will be hosting a memorial meeting for Babita Deokaran. And if you'll remember, Babita Deokaran was assassinated in August 2021. She was killed after she blew the whistle at Tembisa Hospital. There was corruption taking place there, and she was murdered as she drove into her yard in the south of Joburg. It took 2 years for the Gauteng health officials who were implicated in those dodgy deals at Tembisa Hospital to be suspended. Today, as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the UDF, and it has been themed around active citizenry with an emphasis on accountability and transparency, we must ask ourselves, what does this active citizenry really mean? If we look at just the case of Babita Deokaran, does it mean that next year when it's Mandela Day, we all need to go to Tembisa Hospital, paint the walls, and feel good about ourselves? Is that what active citizenry means? Or does it mean that in these last 2 years, all of us here should have been every week outside that hospital, demanding that those officials implicated do not gain entry into that hospital? Does it mean that we should have been on the doorstep of the Gauteng provincial government calling for action against those officials? So our country is in crisis. I think we all recognize that. But to get ourselves out of this crisis, we must rid ourselves of the perception that active citizenry is easy and that it will leave us with this very warm, fuzzy feeling inside. If it does that, then we need to ask ourselves, are we doing active citizenry right? Are we doing something simply to make ourselves feel good? Or are we doing active citizenry to change this culture of corruption that is seeped into our democracy, this greed and wanton disregard for the well-being of people? And this is what has come to characterize our politics. So today I have 3 suggestions around active citizenry aimed at 3 different groups of people. One are the public servants, and I know there are many public servants and former public servants here. Active citizenry for you is not something that you do over the weekend. It is something that you do at your 9-to-5 job. For you, it means standing your ground against those corrupt networks, private networks, the public sector networks that continue to damage our institutions. Your job is to stand up against political interference that puts the wants of political parties and politicians before the needs of people. Every day when you go to work, you must embody the recommendations of the Zondo Commission. This form of active citizenry is not easy. Today, I met Cynthia Stimple at an event earlier in the morning, and she'll tell you, she was a whistleblower at SAA. There's no medals at the end of the road. There's no pat on the back. Ask Martijn Goy, who currently, to date, is facing harassment and is being hounded for reporting corruption at PRASA. The second group of people, the politicians, even politicians need to be active citizens. What does it mean for you? It means the time has come to put your country before your party. Very practically, what does it mean? It means that you must isolate your friends and colleagues who are implicated in the Zondo report. All of us here need to change the notion of what we call a comrade. These may have been people who we fought with, people here have fought with in the trenches against apartheid. But today, in democratic South Africa, those who steal from the public purse have sold out our democracy. They have taken the bread off the table of the poorest in our country, and such people can no longer be called comrades. Active citizenry for the politician means speaking out against attempts to undermine and reverse the Political Party Funding Act. It means holding the executive to account in Parliament, even if they come from your party. Active citizenry is not going to get you a seat at the popular table, because it means calling out your colleagues who use public platforms to demean journalists, civil society activists, and opposition party members who ask the hard questions. Active citizenry means not undermining the stability of our municipalities just because you want the mayor to be from your own party. Being an active citizen means that you must be prepared to challenge, not just the teacher who kicks out a pupil for having natural hair at school, but the politician who sings racially divisive songs or whose rhetoric encourages xenophobia. As a politician, you can learn what it is to be an active citizen by being an ordinary citizen. Try sending your mother to Tembisa Hospital. Use the Prasa train to go to work. Try and queue up at the post office only to find out that the systems are offline. When you do this, you will know what it is to be an active citizen. Now lastly, the third group of people, the ordinary citizen, the ordinary organization. It's all good and well to be handing out grocery items and blankets, but we must distinguish between charity and active citizenry. We must distinguish between holding people to account and doing their jobs for them. So, when you have a pothole outside your house, it's not your job to collect money in your community, buy a bag of cement and fill that pothole. It is your responsibility to find out who in the municipality is being paid to fix that pothole and why aren't they fixing it. Active citizenry means teaching community members how to read municipal budgets and monitor local tenders. For the business formations, the religious institutes, and the labor unionists here, it means isolating those in your own ranks who are corrupt. It means speaking out against striking workers who trash city streets or beat up fellow workers for not joining their strike. Now, 2024 next year is going to be an important year. It's 30 years of democracy, it's 40 years since the tricameral elections, and 40 years since the Vaal uprisings. We must make sure this year is a turning point in our democracy. And our call is defend our democracy, is that 2024 must be proclaimed the year of the active citizen. We are leaving you here today with one practical idea. So leading up to 2024, together with other organizations, we are conducting a national campaign. So we'll be going province to province. And we'll be asking you and your organization to register as an election observer. In this way, the 2024 elections, which will be highly contested, you can play a role as an ordinary citizen in observing that election and ensuring that it is free and fair. And we hope that all of us here today, all of those who are celebrating the UDF 40 in different parts of the country, will join us for this campaign. So today, active citizenry needs to draw the fervor, the life, the vibrancy of the UDF years, but it must recognize that the enemy has changed. We need to take inspiration for the hopeful years of the 1990s, but realize that renewed hope doesn't lie in naive and simplistic understandings of what active citizenry means. We need to draw lessons from the 2000s that our collective failure to hold power accountable can cripple a country. And lastly, in this last decade, it has taught us that active citizenry, as it ought to be done, presents us with one last chance to reclaim, rescue, and renew our democracy. Thank you.